Yo, what up, peeps? It's here. It's me. It's the one, the only. It's the Owl Nimbus. So this is the first pilot episode of the one, the only. Call it that. But this is gonna be my first episode of the podcast world. I haven't done this in a long time. Been thinking about a name, but I kind of want to go with the last night at the Majigen because what isn't a Majigen? Figure it out. Anyway, I'm here with my very special guest, the one, the only Jay Powell. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. This is definitely gonna be very exciting. So I appreciate you reaching out and yeah, happy to be on the show, man.
Yeah, I see that for the audio listeners, he's got a background of martial law from Tekken. You're a
Yes, sir.
Tekken guy.
I am a Tekken guy. It's funny. I haven't played the game behind me,
Okay.
but Tekken 3 is like my favorite.
Oh, I still love Tekken 3.
Yeah,
Tekken 3 is cool.
yeah. I remember me and
Yeah.
my brother just going at it back in the
Going.
day. Tekken 3's
Yeah.
mess
That's
people
like
up. So
the PlayStation 1 days.
oh yeah.
You know what's funny about that game is what I find interesting about Tekken 3 is that I didn't know that there's actually ROMs to where you could play that the PlayStation 1 disc on the Dreamcast. I didn't know that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, they have this thing called like a Bleemcast, that's what they call it.
Hmm.
But you would start up your Dreamcast, you put in that Bleem disc and it would read it, and then it would have like a thing of like insert disc. You would put Tekken 3 in there and it would run Tekken 3 like no problem. It would actually enhance the graphics too from the PlayStation 1.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they only did that for three games. It was Tekken 3. I want to say the other one was Gran Turismo, and then the other one was Metal Gear Solid, ironically.
Really? The first one, huh?
Yeah, yeah. And
Hell
what's
yeah.
weird too is because you figured that it wouldn't work, but you're also able to save just as normally. Like you could use the VMMU. I don't know if you ever had a Dreamcast, but you could use the memory cards. Like it'll be compatible, the same save files and stuff. It's pretty
Oh, that's
interesting.
crazy. That's wild,
Yeah.
bro. Yeah, it's funny. PlayStation. Well, the first console for me was fucking Sega Genesis, the 16-bit, and then
Oh, okay.
yeah, and then it went to PS1, and then everything just changed. Everything melted, and
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know went off
dude.
from went off from there. So yeah, man.
Yeah, bro. The 16-bit war, like but most people don't remember that, but
Yeah.
yeah, Sega. I was a lucky kid because I had a Super Nintendo at home, and my nephew, he lived like a block away, and he had a Sega Genesis. So I would
Mm.
just go over there, and it was just like it was a good it was on the Indian reservation, so everyone knows everybody. So you could go out like at 3 o'clock in the morning, and there's no issue. You just like walk down the
Oh,
street, and it'd be
nice.
fine. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So then I'd be like 10 years old, going, knocking on my nephew's window. Hey, let's play Mortal Kombat 2 because he had Mortal Kombat 2, and then they took out the blood in like the first Mortal Kombat on the Super Nintendo. They even
Oh,
alternated the fatalities back then on the Mortal Kombat 1, I remember.
really? Get out of
Yeah.
town.
Yeah.
Everybody
You
got
had
flowers.
I forgot what it was, but I remember the Super Nintendo when they had Mortal Kombat 1, they alternated the fatalities and then they took out the blood. But on the Sega Genesis, you had to put in a code to get the full fatalities and everything, but they still had them. And then I remember when they had Mortal Kombat 2, that's when everything was on the same page. They
Yeah, the
they had the same.
ESRB. That's what after everything. That's what well changed things. Not really. After
Yeah,
that, made it better. If anything.
yeah. Way back when. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, man. I
Do
remember
you
it's.
Oh, go
That's why I
ahead.
remember working at GameStop, and my assistant store manager, he always kept he was so like happy about having he had a Japanese it was a Panasonic GameCube. It was a Japanese GameCube, but it was specifically Panasonic branded, so you can watch movies on
Oh, really?
it.
That's cool. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I was
Like
like, that's
I
wild.
do you remember the first game you ever played?
Um, I want to say it's probably some bullshit. Honestly, it probably was some type of. It had to be something on Sega Genesis. It might have been some type of like racing game. To be
Oh,
honest with
okay.
you, not
Yeah.
really exciting. My favorite game of all time is Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation One. That's why I
Oh,
was like, ooh, enhanced
yeah.
graphics.
Yeah, dude, Metal Gear Solid 1. I remember, did you when you first played it, did you play it on the demo disc that you got from the magazine, or like remember Pizza Hut? They used to have those demo discs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, is that how you played it the first time?
I think so. I think so. I think yeah, because oh, you know what? No, I remember how I played it. My brother. It's funny you mentioned this, and I remember this automatically. But my brother, his friend had it, and let him borrow it, and I was like, "What the hell is this? Like, oh, Metal Gear Solid espionage game, blah blah blah." And that's how I got into it. Where I was like,
Oh,
"Oh
okay.
shit, this is amazing." I remember
Yo,
for the second game for Sons of Liberty. That I played the demo from like the PlayStation magazine, like when they had the discs and
oh,
stuff.
okay. I do remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I still have some of those PlayStation magazines around
Oh,
somewhere.
nice.
Yeah, yeah, I still have some of those around. But
Good
speaking of
days.
which, since we're talking about it for the audio listeners, we still have the
It's
physical.
on the back of the CD case.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But people don't know. Like back then,
Yes.
you had to figure out the what Merrill's frequency was. You had to
Right.
call her, and then when I played this game, when they said the back of the CD case, I don't know if you rented a video game back then, but when they gave it to you, they never gave you that legitimate case. It was like a clear case. So
Oh yeah.
when they said check the back of the CD case, I had a clear jewel case.
You're like,
Like
what the
I could, I
fuck?
was like, "What are you talking about?" Back of the CD, I went in Shadow Moses. I looked everywhere
Oh
for
man.
the back of the CD kit because I thought they meant in the actual game. I was like, "What
Right.
back of the CD kit?" And I didn't know it was like some fourth dimensional wall breaking at the time.
Yeah,
So
even
the
with
way,
Psycho Mantis, right? In that boss
yeah,
battle where
put
it was like put it in the second port. Oh, it can't read you. I
yeah,
was like,
yeah,
wow. Yeah, that blew my
yeah,
mind. That blew my
and,
mind.
you Metal Gear, like for you, it's your all time favorite, but for me as well, it's my all time favorite. That first one, because it's one of those games that you play, even after all these years, you still learn something new about it that you don't know.
Right.
So, like for example, like on certain PlayStation, or like say if your second controller port 2 is broken and you cannot defeat Psycho Mantis
Yeah.
because like he'll read your moves, he'll read the inputs, and you cannot defeat him. But there is still a way to use the player one side to beat him. You have to like destroy the statues inside the office, and that's something
Wow.
I never knew. That it's like
I didn't
they
know that
thought of
either.
everything. It's like what are you talking about?
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
like the Metal Gear Solid for its time when I first played it, that was generally the first video game I've ever played that really felt like a movie. That
Yeah.
the story was just written so well, the dialogue, the way that they recorded the dialogue,
So
it
good.
yeah,
And I have this argument with my co-host Church from Gamers for Life podcast. Sorry, shameless plug.
no, it's all good.
But he talks about Twin Snakes, and I'm not a fan of Twin Snakes in the GameCube because the dialogue was
The
re-recorded and
dialogue's
it's
different,
nowhere near as good. Nowhere
and
near as good.
that music that they take away from it, it really takes away from the scene.
Yeah.
Like when they have the scene with the Metal Gear Rex with Gray Fox,
Yeah.
like that's a huge scene. And then from my understanding, the reason why and you probably know what this is, but for the audio listeners at home, they redid the whole dialogue of it's basically like a HD like remake. So they recorded the dialogue, they did new graphics. The graphics look amazing, don't get me wrong, but the way that they did the audio, they had to re-record everything. But the reason why they re-recorded it is because when they enhanced that audio, they said that they could hear traffic noises in the background because when they
Yeah.
recorded it originally, they recorded it in an apartment.
Yep.
Yeah, and for
Yep.
that's for like the diehard Metal Gear fans because they would know that, you know that, and
Yep.
I know
I
that.
do remember
Yeah, and
that.
I never understood why. I was like, why would you record the dialogue? Because it's done so well.
Right.
Yeah, and one thing I love about Metal Gear Solid's the game is when it comes to a writing standpoint, it really blurs the lines of who is the who's the good guy,
Yeah.
who's the bad guy. Like when they have that scene with Sniper Wolf, like you hated her guts, and
Man.
then when
Yeah.
her scene plays out, you get her side of the story and her
Right.
perspective, and then now you're in the situation to where you feel bad for this villain, but
Right.
this villain is misunderstood. That
Yeah.
and when I was about 10 years old, when I played that game, like that's probably one of the first games that made me tear up was that specific scene.
That's a powerful scene. I remember watching
Yeah,
that. I was like,
yeah,
damn. And that's a good point too. There's a lot of points in that game where it's not just like a clear cut good guy bad guy thing. Like almost after every other boss fight, you're like, who's really the bad guy in this?
yes.
You know, it's just that whole human mentality is very interesting.
Yeah, because I feel when it comes to writing, that's like an underlooked aspect in writing for when if majority of the times when they have a story laid out in writing, there's a good guy, there's a bad guy, there's the light side, the dark side, very very Star Wars-esque. But
Right.
in my opinion, I think the best stories, the ones that are written, is when they blur the lines of what is considered good, what is considered evil.
Right.
And at that point you almost feel bad for being alongside with this villain character, but at the same time they're not fully wrong, they're just misunderstood. It's
Yeah.
brilliant, brilliant.
You know, another game that's really good that has a really decent story is Spec Ops: The Line. I don't know if you ever had a chance to play that one.
I haven't played
It's
it.
like it's like a Desert Storm type esque of game, but there's a lot of blurred lines in that
Mhm.
game too, where you're like, holy
Yeah,
shit, like this is getting crazy. Like, I highly recommend that game. That game's actually really good, but definitely there's a few points where you're like, what the frick?
oh, okay. So what console is it on?
That one, it's on PC. I know it was on 360 and PS3 back in the day. Those were like the main consoles that came out back
So
then.
it's on Steam then?
It is on Steam. Yeah, that's actually how
Okay.
I beat it. I beat it on like a random
Oh yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Okay. Yeah, that's holiday. I miss about that when you're a kid and you have like the holiday break, and then all of a sudden you
Yeah.
just have there's nothing else you could do in the house, so it's just play some video games.
Video games, bro. That was Video Game City, man. Yeah, it's because I remember my friend Yared that I've known for like over 20 years. Like, I remember we were playing like Final Fantasy and shit, Final Fantasy 10s. It's like I put like over 55 hours in that game.
Oh
It's like
yeah.
I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine having 55 hours now at my
Yeah.
current age.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because like when you start getting older, for like the younger folks that are listening, you fall asleep watching TV now. Yeah, you're like,
In the
what?
middle of the day.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, and it's the good nap was when you interlock the fingers. That's
The
when
air
the
is a
nap
little
is good.
cold, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It
yeah.
reminds me so much of my dad because he'd be like that when I come home from school. It'd be like 4 in the afternoon, and he'd be sleep watching People's Court, and he'd have like a People's Court and like a box of Cheez-Its and a can of Sunkist. The good old
Nice.
days, way back when.
Nice.
But yeah,
I was
yeah.
gonna ask you something. When did so like as far as like when it comes to music and stuff, like
Mhm.
when did that when did you really start to tap in? It's like, oh, like I like this, like growing up, like sorry, certain music. Like, how did that come
Mm.
about?
Well, you and I were about the same age, as I feel like. So like back
Yeah.
then, becoming a musician, a rapper, or a producer it's very out of reach for like our generation. There was no internet, there was no DAW that you could just pick up from the internet and stuff. So
Yeah.
like the very first time I really got into music was on the PlayStation 1 of MTV's Music Generator. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, I
Yeah.
remember that. I
Yeah,
remember that.
yeah.
Yep.
So,
Mm.
like, for the folks at home who don't remember this, there was an old PlayStation 1 game called MTV's Music Generator. And when you were a kid, that really was like the first DAW. But when you would make music on it, it'd be like a hip hop genre. There'd be some house on
Yeah.
there. And then when the PS2 came around, I played a little bit. It was called Club World. And then me and
Mm.
my friend, we used to play. It was exactly sort of the same thing as the MTV Music Generator, but you're able to play hip hop, reggae, to house, electro. There was a lot of stuff, and
Dang.
then we would pass around our memory cards and then be like, "Yo, check out that mix, bro." All our mixes are the same, but they were just dope though when we made them. But
That's crazy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So then that's what I did, and then I did a little bit of stand up comedy like for a while, and then every now and then I'll just get bored of like hobbies and I'll just do something else. But Eventually, I had some extra cash to pick up a DAW. I picked up the machine MK3,
Mm.
and then I realized that because I was like, "Yo, I could be a rapper." And then when I record myself, you record yourself in the closet, and you're like, "Ugh, what is this?" So then,
Yeah, yeah,
but oh,
that's
good.
hilarious you say that too, because I resonate with that a lot. And I used to be really hard on myself because like I
Yeah.
wanted to rap, and I had a huge affinity for those people that I got into because I started getting into like Tyler Pauly, not too much more anymore now for various reasons, but
Yeah.
back then Tyler Pauly, MF Doom,
Oh yeah,
you
MF Doom.
know,
Yeah, yeah,
like just like all types of people and stuff. And I
yeah.
was like, man, like, like I tried like rapping and recording, and I'm just like, God, I sound
Oh
corny, like
yeah,
so it took
yeah,
a while. It took a while
yeah.
for me to get used to myself.
Yeah, for me, it's just my voice tone. I don't like the voice tone like I have
Mm.
because I sound very nasally. Like I feel like I'm the dry, clear eyes guy. You know that's what I feel like my tone is. But
The Stein guy,
yeah,
Arnold
yeah, yeah,
Stein.
yeah, that guy. But I think I really started getting interested into making beats is when I found back then I used to have a pair of turntables and statins and
Mm.
stuff like that. So this is really before like the age of the internet. So you couldn't just look up what samples were what. So back then you had to go to the record store and dig up all this great music and stuff. And but along the way, I really started getting into like breaks. I learned about like what breaks were back then. Like
Yeah.
I watched a lot of documentaries on who was the one that invented the scratch. And then like I mean, for people that listen today, like they'll see like the rapper and the DJ, but when I was coming, like when I was a kid in high school, that was like we were more like underground. We loved the MF
Yeah.
Doom. Like I didn't find out about Jay Dilla until after his passing.
Oh,
That's when
same.
yeah, and then I really got into like the Donuts and then
Oh
Shining.
man.
Like those are just great albums.
Waves. Yo,
Yeah, yeah,
waves.
yeah,
Crazy.
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 And then
Yeah.
like when you get into it, you have no idea on how that production is made, especially if you never have a DAW or
Right.
any type of any type of like if you have never experienced with an MPC, it's very hard to understand on how that music is created. But it wasn't until I seen a YouTube video of some guy using the DAW that I had, the MK Machine 3, when he remade beats of Kanye West. He did what was it? It was Through the Wire.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he
I
redid the whole
love
thing.
that beat growing up, bro.
Yeah,
Oh my
on the
god.
machine. On the machine is the how he did it, but
Mm.
he pitched everything from the exact sample. He showed you how to do it, place the congas and everything. He showed how to do all caps by MF Doom.
Oh, nice.
Exactly how he did it on the MK3. And then that at that point I was like, "Oh, now I understand the machine a little bit more."
Wow.
So now that's when really I when it was like me and it probably wasn't until like me and Bright worked together on Nostalgic Beginnings, for those who don't know. But when me and Bright collaborated on that, that was when I really started to dabble into what the machine could really do. Because before, I always thought you had to have like a Dr. Dre studio and
Right.
budget to get that kind of sound. And then there's guys on the underground who didn't have all that. The Jay Dillas, the Mad Libs, the MF Doom. They only had like one little mini piece, a laptop, and like a 303 or
Right.
whatever they were working with. And then it was at that point to where it's like, wow, you don't need a giant budget to create something. And then every time when I like make beats and stuff, when me and Bright were doing it, it was like I was trying to figure out what would work well for Bright. And then his voice tone, he's very like Cannibal Ox, like underground. His tone
Yeah.
was like, yo, if the more horror side he goes, like the weirder and horror samples that he uses, in my opinion, that's what is his fit, in my opinion, because that voice tone is what carries it all. Like,
Nice.
but yeah, yeah, that's a lot.
That's crazy, man. No, like, cause it always fascinated me as far as like how you can get such like old equipment and like flip these samples and still have such a clean sound. Like New York State of Mind always like just blows my mind how clean that sounds. And I know like a lot of people touch that beat, like I think Preem and a few other people or
Mhm.
whatever, but like hearing that today, it's just like it still sounds crazy good, you know?
Yeah, and I think my favorite beat on there was "It Ain't Hard to Tell." and
Mm,
Large Professor did that one.
mm.
I feel like a lot of techniques that I've learned over the years was techniques from him, because like and for the audio listeners who and producer friends who listen to this, you guys will understand as just like when you have a sample, if you're working that old school sample, you'll play out the whole sample. And the way Large Professor does it is when that verse section comes in. So he'll have the chorus section where the sample plays all the frequencies. It plays everything depending how it's chopped up. But when he gets to that verse section, he'll take out the mids and the highs, and he'll leave this low bassy sound. And that is his verse section. That is
Nice.
exactly how you get the most mileage out of your sample.
Mm,
So like even if you listen to any stuff of mine, like you'll hear like the sample the way it's chopped up, and then when Bright comes in or Rapper or whoever, I'll take those frequencies down, like the highs hat, and then I'll just leave that bassy sound in. So you want to enhance, and this is like the secret, like a tip secret. If you're getting your bass lines from just your sample, you're taking the verse section, you take out the mids, the highs, and then for that bass sample, you would like make another sample, I guess another cue, another track, if you
yeah.
will, and you'll take all the highs of those, and then you'll enhance those bass levels. Typically, you want to take out everything else out and leave it about 250 hertz. That's what you
Mm,
want to leave. That's the magic number that you want to stay at. If you take your bass lines above that, that's when it starts selling muddy.
mm.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There you
Crazy.
go.
Nice. There you
Yeah.
go for all you listeners, sons
Yeah.
of bitches.
Yeah. Free. Okay. Free. But
I think it's fascinating how you really did your homework on like analyzing like different people, like obviously some of the greats that did it, or just like in from an instructional basis. You know, I
mhm,
think a lot of people now they try to just kind of like figure it out on their own, or
it's
just, you know,
tough.
trial and error. Yeah, it's
It's
really
tough.
fucking tough.
Yeah, it's tough when you don't know your DAW. It's tough when you don't know the tricks of the trade on what they were doing. But I think in order for you to get the best sound that you want, that you're looking for, it doesn't have to be an underground sound. It doesn't matter if you're doing 808s, traps, whatever you're into. You have to look, you have to respect the greats on where they came from and understand what they did. Not only understand what they did, but understand that you in the present day, you have access to pretty much every single thing that you want to. Back then, they had limited equipment, which
Right.
means they had to get a Roland 808. They had to get those certain drums that they just cannot get. Like they had to dig stuff for samples to get those drums to sound the way they do. But they had limited resources back then. Like you can't
Yeah.
even have a giant amount of data on an old school 2000 XL, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that being said, they had limited amount of resources, but they're still able to create this giant sound quality that, and I never really thought about it, but it was one tip that one dude gave to me. And he worked with like, I'm not going to mention who they were, but he worked with a lot of great guys. But he was like, if you want that underground gritty sound that everyone else is looking for, and he's like, this is like one secret tip. He's like, yo, this is what it is. He's like, you take out all in your beat, I mean, just the beat, you take out all the frequencies past 12,500. Anything after 12,500, you take all those frequencies out, and you're left with this gritty like dirtiness. And it's hard to explain without like really listening to it on good headphones. But if you have a DAW at home and you have some really good headphones, make your track and you really want that gritty sound, take out those frequencies, anything above that in that sample, and then you'll get like a huge difference in my opinion. And I
Nice.
noticed it myself.
Nice.
Yeah.
I always feel like I'm like I always feel like I'm cheating today when it comes to like this, like when you do like the quote unquote crate digging in 2024, right? Because we
Oh,
have so many resources where it's like, oh, you just go to Spotify and just find something random and flip it, versus like back in the day where people had to fucking go to places, even fly in some instances to crate dig for something that's gonna flip and make sense and work in a beat. I mean, how do you like? I guess what are some strategies that you like try to find some really unique shit to make your stuff?
if you want to go unique stuff, and this is my opinion, crate digging, doesn't matter if you go on YouTube or whatever, go to different parts of the world.
Mm,
Like there is some dope tracks that come from Brazil that I never even heard of. there's some dope stuff that comes from Estonia, from Russia, from like imagine like everyone loves. I feel like everything has been done as far as digging goes, and so you really have to chop your stuff different when it comes to like soul to funk music. But imagine soul and funk music coming from like Istanbul in like the 70s, or like funk and soul music come from Nigeria. Like that's the kind of stuff that you really want to work with. And the majority of the time, most people have not messed around with stuff like that. And that stuff still exists. I don't think that the well is fully tapped when it comes to things like that, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, because even I think we were talking about it not too long ago, but I was getting into what's called Habibi Funk,
Okay.
through the Bandcamp or whatever, and there's this raw recording from back in the day, and it was like this. I don't know if it was like Afghani or something, but it was like this band, and they were doing a cover of a James Brown song, but it was
Oh,
in their
okay.
language, and it sounded so dope. I was like,
Yeah.
because I was like, what is? I was like, because I was like, I couldn't hear what he was, understood what he was saying, but I was like, that melody sounds really familiar, and I was like, holy shit, they're covering a James Brown tune. I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing on how much like funk and soul like lives on, not even just like in America, because like I feel like soul music and hip-hop music, that's strictly like in a, I don't want to say an American thing, but there's a culture that's attached to that. And it's
Absolutely.
amazing on how far it expands. Like you got MCs from South Africa, you got MCs from UK to Canada, Japan, China, they're all over the place. It's amazing on how much hip-hop has expanded over the years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, many years, right? It was like the biggest genre in the world, and the influence, like you said, the influence is crazy, and like, it's amazing in places like Japan where, not only do they appreciate it, like they dissect it to a T, and then they try to
Mhm.
not necessarily copy it, but they do that art form to the T as well. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah,
a
and
lot of respect.
they are diehard hip hop fans. They're big Wu Tang fans. They're big like MF Doom fans. Like they go like crazy hard. They appreciate not even just like rap and DJing, and but they appreciate the hip hop other side of the coin, which is the graffiti, the b boys, the DJs, the scratching. Like, and it seems like that's been kind of lost along the way. It seems that as hip hop started getting about the Benjamins and stuff, they kind of left the DJ, the B boys, the graffiti
Mm.
behind in a way, and that's something I kind of miss. I feel like DJ Premier is probably one of the few that still does that. Like he'll do like a collab with ASAP Ferg, and then like it sounds like that 90s sound, but I feel like you could still break to it if you wanted to, like if you wanted to, and that's the kind of stuff I do miss about that. I feel like Dilated People, they carried that for a while too, with Babu, and then it's like Alchemist and those guys, and then like I feel like that's just I really do miss that side, and I think when like that's something I feel like I miss from hip hop is when they have like a hook and then you just have some just dope DJ just do some scratching on it. Like I miss that sound. Like
Yeah.
and like for today, I feel like as soon as I hear the 808, I'm just like another one. But
It's
like
not the same.
yeah, but I get that hip hop does move on. I get that it evolves, but I just don't understand. Like, I feel like in the era that we grew up in, there was never ever like rappers that sounded the same. There was
Yeah.
never beats that sounded the same. Like the East Coast sounds so different from G Funk and
Yeah.
like Outcast,
Yeah.
ATLians or like Aquemini.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it sounds so different
So
and so
different.
unique. Like I that's the stuff that I miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I kind of miss. I don't. It's funny, man. Like obviously, like channels like the MTV and BET and all that shit's like done. But like I remember, like as a '90s kid, right? Like seeing all these like countdowns and shit. And I remember listening to "Cot Damn," like the Clips track "Cot Damn,"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and like that was one of my favorite beats. Like growing up, like I
Uh
was like doing the disses and shit, and that was playing. I was like, what the fuck? That sounds crazy,
yeah,
Just like
yeah.
really like
Yeah.
really appreciating the just like the beat itself and just yeah, man. There is a time like definitely I 100% agree as far as like back then like there's when everything was starting to sprawl out and then like people were finding their name and like you said ATL on the map and shit like that and And yeah, like I feel like the very last wave was I want to say like maybe the mid to late 2000s, kind of like the Kanye era and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that.
The
Where
Little Wayne era, and
yeah, yeah,
but I do miss that stuff. And then I wouldn't, I don't know. It's just I feel like it's tough today because I feel like a lot of it doesn't matter what you crate dig through. If you think it's dope, chances are someone else has touched it. Like
mm,
that I
mm,
think that's what makes it hard for people that have gotten to sampling and that's their thing. Like, and then you really got to like flip things out. And in my opinion, like one of the best producers, if you love that retro hip hop 90s sound, there's a guy from Spain called Cooking Soul. Like he's like one of the best that's like in my opinion that's ever done it. I don't know if you know who that
wow,
is,
mm,
but I found this dude and he lives out in Spain. His name's Cooking Soul. But one day, this is before MF Doom's passing, but it was around like Christmas time, and I was like looking up stuff, and then there was a tape that was on Bandcamp, and it was MF Doom, but it was like remixes of MF Doom, but the guy Cooking Soul made the beats of it, but he did all Christmas music. And
oh wow,
it sounds so dope. Like it just like you figured that it would sound corny, but he made it work. And he took bits
wow,
and pieces of when MF Doom was on Adult Swim, and it was like we're having a Christmas special with MF Doom, and then like it literally sounds like a legit MF Doom project, and it's just like what
oh
is this?
wow,
This is incredible. But like that vinyl sold out, and then online on eBay that vinyl sells for like 600 like now. Yeah,
damn,
yeah. He made like cassette anytime that he made releases like cassette tapes of that project, it's like it's best to pick that up because it sells out so fast. It's incredible like that. But it's got like the Grinch art, and he's got the MF Doom mask on and
oh
everything.
my god, that
Oh
sounds
my
so
god.
fire.
Every Christmas year, I always pull that track out. I still got the cassette tapes. He released it like the cassette tapes where it was the mixtape and then the instrumentals, but on the back of the cassettes, the cassette tapes are themselves, they're like red and green to fit
Mm,
in with the Home Alone or the Christmas theme.
yeah.
It's like, yo, this is incredible. But that by far, Cooking Soul, he's like one of those few guys that still drops unique retro hip hop, boom bap, like that style. It's he also did like a mixtape with Biggie, like it's like Christmas funk music,
Oh
but it's
wow.
like Biggie over it. It's like, what is this? Like, how did you figure that out? Because that's he's one of those guys that intrigues me because there's beats, Christmas beat. If you ever tried, and if you're a producer at home, try to make a dope beat from a Christmas song. It is one of the
It's hard, right?
hardest things to do. I'm telling you, it's because it's such a limited, weird sound. Like nothing sounds like Christmas music, but to make it sound like funky and dirty and gritty,
Right.
that is another side of what's like, wow, like how did you figure that out? That's incredible to me.
That's insane.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
That stuff
challenge
crazy.
anyone to make a dope Christmas like boom bap style beat and make it dope. It's one of the hardest things to do. I went through so many like Christmas songs, and I could probably only made like one that was decent. And then
Really?
it's like, yeah, it's hard. It is probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I spent like months trying to come up with something. I went through everything that was funk Christmas, everything that was soul Christmas. I was like, I have no idea how he figured it out, but he'll play like the original sample of how it sounds, and then he'll go into the beat itself. And it's just like, how the hell did you get that sound from this sample? It's ah
That sounds
ah.
yeah, that sounds freaking challenging. It was crazy. I was watching a little bit of a it was where MF Doom was being interviewed and it was like sponsored by Red Bull or whatever,
Okay,
and they
yeah,
were
yeah, yeah.
playing. I know you probably saw that shit,
Yes,
but
yes,
yeah,
yes,
it
yes.
was. I just thought it was interesting as far as MF Doom's like his affinity for like really catalog, like recording like audio and like having it
Mhm.
put together to kind of create this narrative or whatever before a beat, and maybe a thing of your Akira Kohai project, you know, because I remember we reviewed that shit on the Music Buds, and we were just like, shit sounds amazing. I don't know,
Yeah,
I don't have any
yeah,
critiques.
yeah. I feel like when I made that project, and I don't think I've told a story. Maybe I told like you, but like a few people at home who don't know it. But when we made that project, it was originally supposed to be like a super producer beat tape from on Instagram, like all the producers around the world, South Africa, Japan, all that have you. And the guy who got us all together, he just never did anything with us. So like during that time, I feel like I was one of the few that was contributing. What do you guys think of this beat? What do you guys think of this? What do you guys think of this? And they say, oh, it's dope, it's dope. But the original guy who got together, he just didn't do anything.
Mm.
So like I'm throwing out ideas. I'm like, yo, what if we do this? If we have like a character who's the official Akira Kohai, I was like, what if she's a DJ and she plays, our beats and introduces us and stuff like that? And the guy's like, yeah, we'll do that. But it just never ever happened. So I got to the point to where in about 18 months in, and keep in mind, when I'm working on this, I'm also still working on the collaboration with Bright. So
Oh.
now every single track that's done, I want to say, I think Bebop FM was about 20 tracks long. And I told Bright, I was like, when we do our collaboration, it's gonna be 10. 10's not too long, it's not too short, it's perfect. So I'm juggling like different styles. Like I'm like,
Right.
because Akira Kohai, in my opinion, like her character, her lore is supposed to be like a DJ, but her influences is like DJ Shadow, Pete Rock to
Oh.
very Pete Rock, very DJ Shadow, in my opinion, because there's some stuff that's in there, very MF Doom, very
Mm.
Madlib. Um, but when I did her project, I feel like MF Doom got it perfect because he is a character, but he'll flip it to King Ghidra, to Victor Vaughn. So you're not limited to this like little box of perspectives that you have, which is what I love about like the Owl Nimbus character, which is what I love about the Akira Kohai character. She has like her friend who's like the DJ, Cat McNoynoy. Cat McNoynoy. I was laughing when I wrote that name down. I was like, what sounds funny? It was like
Yeah, my
McNoynoy. Who has a
co-host,
name?
they got a kick out of that.
But like her character is like the DJ who does like the scratching in there. Like that's how it was supposed to be. And then she's the one that does the beats. And then but when I definitely was in that zone, I was definitely into that MF Doom, like the interview of how does he get those voiceovers, and you're digging for all kinds of stuff, but also like I pitched him different so where you can't kind of tell where it comes from. But I felt like when I was getting into that mode, I was really into looking for voiceovers, and but I never really, I just kind of just grabbed, I felt fit the project because it's like her night in it's definitely like a shift. Like you, like the way I intended it to be was like you're getting a night shift of her, and then she eventually like loses her job or whatever happens to her.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So but that really was like a fun one and done project. Like I don't, like I feel like if I make a sequel to it, it kind of ruins her character. I feel like it,
Mm.
that one shot of it's like a Sex Pistols kind of thing where it's just like you
Yeah.
have a dope project, or like the Skull Snaps. I don't know if you know who the Skull Snaps are, but
Mm-mm.
they're, people don't know who the Skull Snaps are. They're a funk band. Like no one knows who they really are. I mean, kind of, but no, there's no like real data on them on the internet. But
Really?
if you have, they made one album, the Skull Snaps. Pretty much every hip hop beat that's been sampled, the dope stuff was sampled strictly from the Skull Snaps. Yeah. And if there's a YouTube video called Crate Diggers, you go to, I believe it was Pete Rock's video. He has that
Mm.
album, and everything's been sampled from Skull Snaps. That album is like the creme de la creme when it comes to sample. Like pretty much every track on there has been sampled or done before.
Wow.
Yeah, Skull Snaps. Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah.
That's
Wow.
crazy. I gotta check it. I gotta try to find something on that or just listen to that album. That's fucking nuts.
Yeah, but that was definitely like a Pete Rock kind of sound. When I got into that Bebop FM project, that was definitely one that I really wanted to do for a long time. And then still do the collaboration with Bright. Like that was
Yeah.
tough trying to go back and forth because it was like, man, Bright, I don't know, man. Yeah,
Patience,
yeah.
patience.
Shout out to Bright though, man. Shout out
Yeah,
to
shout out
Bright.
to Bright. Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
One thing I find interesting is because everyone has all like this like people are spoiled to different technology basis, right? People have like these huge fucking monitors and shit to play
Yeah.
back their stuff. And I remember talking to you as far as like when you're making music and you're like, oh yeah, I use like a whole tape player.
Oh
And
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah. So for the visual listeners, if the audio listeners are not seeing, this is what I mix pretty much every project I've ever done. It's like a little tiny boombox cassette tape player. Like this is exactly how I mixed every single thing. The Kira High project, the Bright individual collaboration with Nostalgic Beginnings, my exclusive Bandcamp mixtape, Midnight Bliss. Everything was done on this, and it's just I don't know what it is about the giant monitors. I don't have like any type of acoustic sounds or anything,
Mm.
but that's just what I ran with, and that's what works for me.
Did you just like find like that and was just like had to use something out of the necessity and you liked it and you continued to use it, or like did you get that from somebody? Like what's the origin of that? Because I find that really fascinating.
When I got it, I originally wanted to make like put my stuff like on cassette tapes. So like I'm able to hook up auxiliary cord to that. So I'll get like Japanese funk mixtapes that are not you can't find on Spotify, funk from Estonia. So I would put it on here. So the car I had at the time had a tape player. That's how we roll.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
old
Back
school
in the day, baby.
air conditioning. Yeah, yeah.
Had to roll
Yeah.
down the windows and
Yeah,
shit.
air conditioning. That's how it was. No cup holder.
No
stick
cup
shift.
holders.
Yeah, that was back then, way back when.
You had to buy a cup holder from the gas
Yeah.
station.
Or like, hopefully, had a friend that could put it like hold it for you. Like that's
Right.
how it was.
Oh my
But
god.
but yeah, when I got that, that was originally it was like I got that for mixtapes and stuff. But I didn't have a giant speaker at the time, so yeah, I didn't have a giant speaker, so I had to work with what I had. And when it came to baseline, I feel like by the time when I made the project 3 a.m. Donut Shop, I felt like my mixing could have been a whole lot better. Like I listen to it now, I'm like, I don't like it because like I feel like the bass signs are too muddy. But it wasn't until I learned on keep your frequencies for the bass lines 250, cut these frequencies out. I feel like that's my guideline on so then I can trust the speaker. I can trust my long as you one thing when you do your mixing, make sure it sounds good on your headphones, make sure it sounds good on speakers, make sure it sounds good in the car speakers. That's the main point.
Yeah.
Because your mix that you have in your DAW and your headphones right now, once you're done, exporting it, you go to your car, it sounds horrible for whatever reason. It's because you're not testing the headphones, you're not testing Bluetooth speakers. You have to test all your speakers.
Yeah.
For me, it's headphones, then it's this guy, and then or the boom box that I have, and then the car. The car is the final test.
Car is the final.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, I rolled with that because that's what I had. I didn't want to invest too much in speakers because the way I look at it, when you're making gritty boom bat type of, those types of tracks, that kind of equipment, in my opinion, is not required, in my opinion, because you're going for that dirty, gritty sound.
Right.
I believe when Mad Villainy came out, Madlib put a picture of what the equipment that he was using. And he said it took 18 months to make all 20 tracks for the Mad Villainy project. But his picture of what he was using was just a laptop, the 303, and like little speakers, like little tiny speakers of what he had. But yet it's considered one of the greatest.
That's my favorite
hip-hop albums of all time. Yeah. Yeah. That's like one of those, like that's like the hip hop heads like album go to.
Yeah.
That's like one of those ones that I feel like from like a hip hop standpoint, there's so many people that love rap, that love hip hop. They still don't know who MF Doom is. And it's just like, well, he's like one of the greats.
Crazy.
Yeah. You have no idea on how many people I met that still don't know who Jay Dilla is. And yet they're Tribe
Mhm.
Called Quest fans, they're Common fans, and they have no idea until like these documentaries come out, and they're like, oh damn, and then they look at their vinyl record that they got, and it says produced by Jay Dilla or
Yeah.
MF Doom. Like it's all those tracks that they miss, and Madlib is another one of those. Even though now
Yeah.
in the age of the internet, we
Kind of
still
sold out. Is on an iPad
yeah
now.
iPad. Yeah, but that's another example of
Yeah.
an out of the like box for mixing,
Yeah.
because like you would think of that like, man, it would be like Garage Band or something like that, but then he gets that sound like Bandana, like with him
Yeah.
and Freddie
I
Gibbs.
was just thinking about
Woo!
Bandana. That shit's
Yeah.
tough, bro.
Every now and then I'll go back and I'll listen to that with like Cataracts to
Mm.
I forget what the track. I can pull up the track list, but
Such a tough project. It's
oh
my
my
favorite Freddie
god,
Gibbs project.
yeah.
Easy.
And Freddie Gibbs, man, that dude can rhyme, and
You can
he's
spit, yeah.
so very different. But I feel like if you're at that level to where you can collaborate with Madlib, like you're a great rapper. There's nothing that needs to be said, in my
Facts.
opinion. And Freddie Gibbs, I feel like he doesn't get as much like status as he should, because he's a dope rapper. There's a lot of rappers that I feel that don't get that kind of shine. Freddie Gibbs is one of them. Action Bronson is one of them.
Action.
Oh yeah,
He's got a new album
Action.
coming out soon.
Yeah,
Pink.
yeah,
I'm excited,
yeah.
bro. I want to
That was
get New Balances.
woo. Yeah, those are dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Action Bronson, man. I feel like he doesn't get as much credit as
Yeah.
he deserves. But damn, he's like very unorthodox, and it's weird.
Love
And
it.
like that song Jaguar, like
Mm.
Jaguar
Oh,
from
yeah.
woo, yeah.
Because
I
he
think
did it
it's
with Alchemist, right? He did
I
the
think
song Alchemist.
I think it was Alchemist, and then Rocky Marciano,
Oh, okay.
Rock Marciano.
Yeah.
The Jaguar is like, oh damn,
Yes,
like,
tough
that
track.
is crazy. Yeah,
Tough
yeah.
track.
What I
Even the project he did with Dad Selecta, the Well Done, like that shit was
yeah,
crazy too.
yeah,
Day.
yeah, yeah. He's one of those rappers that I feel like doesn't get that much credit. Um, who's the guy? What's his name? He's from Naughty by Nature, Tretch. Like
Mm.
he doesn't get as much credit as he. Master
Yeah, Eminem's a
Ace. Ooh.
huge fan of him. He's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
one of his biggest inspirations is
yeah,
from Eminem's Stretch.
yeah. Tretch,
How
man,
he
Tretch.
rhymes. Yeah.
Tretch, Master Ace. I still listen to Master Ace.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah.
nice.
Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
who are your 5 favorite rappers? And I'm gonna say this now. That is not Tupac. That's not Biggie. That's not Nas. That's not Jay-Z. That's not Eminem. Because those
Oh
are
man.
safe choices. They're safe. They're
I
too
like
safe
that
for me.
question and I hate how difficult that possibly can be. Well the first one I have to write these down just so I have a visual. First one for me is Pharaoh Monch. I think
Oh,
Pharaoh Monch
okay.
is
Okay.
fucking incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
And the crazy thing about Pharaoh Monch is that like I haven't listened to everything that he's done, but the things that I have listened to, so obviously like some of his old like his original
Yeah.
shit, and then his project where he has the gas mask on.
Oh, okay.
That's my favorite album that he's done. But the way he rhymes and like the way he can paint a picture in such like a really detailed manner, and he rhymes words together that people don't really use. It's
Yeah.
like he uses like meniscus. You know?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
who uses meniscus? But
Yeah.
like, and his tone so so original, so crazy original. Black Thought, I have to put
Oh,
on
Black
the
Thought.
docket too.
Okay.
Black Thought is incredible. Anytime he is rapping anything anywhere, he's always outshining people, and I feel like a lot of people are afraid of him for real. You know what I mean? Like he may not make the best music, but like obviously part of the roots for over fucking 17 years, and then just his shit in general, like it's just anything rapping, like he's just so fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I saw the Roots once live with my wife. But yeah, Black Thought has to be on that list for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Roots. Yeah.
yeah, Ransom,
Ransom. Oh,
Ransom,
okay.
bro.
Okay.
The last 2-3 years, he has released incredible projects.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Incredible. The director's cut series, the
Uh-huh.
scene was 1, 2, and 3. Nuts. I would recommend those. I actually bought director's cut scene 3 on vinyl, and I think it's like 8 or 10 tracks or something.
Uh-huh. Fire.
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 Pure fire. And it's crazy because he gets better every project.
Yeah.
And his rhyme schemes are crazy. Like for people who really fuck with like dope punchlines,
Mhm.
Ransom, I think he's a better rapper now than he was then. Because I think a lot of people remember Ransom from beefing with Joe Budden back in the day and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think he's a better rapper now than he's ever been, which I think is interesting because I don't think a lot of people say that about older rappers today. Jay-Z thinks he's a better rapper today than he has been ever, but I think as far as just in general, like outside looking in, absolutely Ransom is he's that dude. You didn't mention Andre, did you? Because I want to put him on the list.
Okay. Yeah, because you had Pharoah Monch, Ransom,
Black
Thought.
Yeah, I gotta add 3 Stacks, bro.
3 Stacks.
3 Stacks is always I've always been like, what the fuck? Like every project, even Love Below shit,
Yeah. Like his verses are just too crazy.
Yeah.
Aquemini alone, ATLians, like his verses, man. Like
So
Aquemini is just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last one. I was just thinking, shit. I would probably say, just because I've listened to this person so much, and I feel like still today, like they're kind of sneakily not as appreciated as they should. I'll probably say Common.
I love Common. Common doesn't get as much credit as he should either. Yeah.
I will say Common, and I think a lot of it too. I won't say that I rap like him, but from a stylistic basis and some of his schemes, I think a lot of it I've mentally borrowed from him. So I'd probably say Common.
Common's dope. I love Common. Not even obviously B is a good album, awesome. Dope album, but I really love that track on Smoking Aces. I don't know if you ever seen that movie.
Yeah,
the credits roll and then they play that Common track. I was like, yo, that's dope. Yeah.
Now I gotta go back. Now I gotta go check the track out.
Play Your Cards Right. That's the name of the track. Yeah, that one is just dope. He's a brilliant actor too.
Yeah, he's really good. He's really good.
Good. Common. Common was out of the blue because I didn't think I wasn't expecting Common. His stuff with Jay Dilla's what's that track's name? Common and Jay Dilla.
I know they had some shit on Finding Forever. I think there's a song on there that there's The Light, right?
He
did the Light, right?
I don't know why that slipped my mind.
Yeah.
But the way that Dilla cuts that how did you figure that out? It's crazy.
Water for Chocolate, that's a masterpiece in its entirety. A lot of people, it's funny, I give I wasn't arguing this with D Skills Harris, but he fucks with Resurrection, and a lot of people do, right? Obviously, there's I Used to Love Her, which is it's a hip hop classic. I just don't fuck with Resurrection that much. I Used to Love Her because that's a great track, but everything else I don't really care for because there's the Watermelon track and all this stuff. I was like, I just don't like it. But once Like Water for Chocolate came across, I was like, yo, this is fucking incredible,
Yeah, that's tough to but bro, Light? I'm kidding. Light is just incredible.
How many it's crazy how many weddings that song has been played, during dances and stuff.
Every time when I was younger, they would have that jukebox, and every time I would go to the bar, I put money in, that song is always in there. I'll put Light on, and then I like to look around because I did DJing when I was earlier. I like to look around and see on who fills what track, but then I'll play Light. I'll play some Curtis Mayfield. Love Curtis Mayfield.
Oh yeah.
And I'll play the Spinners. I'll play that. And then for the guy the guy that's in the back and he just wants to enjoy his drink, I'll put Vanilla Ice Ninja Rap. And dun 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 dun, and then he's into it. And I love playing tracks just to see on who is with what. And then I'll play those tracks that are out there. But the Spinners comes, I'll be around by the Spinners.
Oh man!
After that dude, we're like, yo, turn that up. Yeah, that track is dope. That is still in my playlist. I don't care how old it is. That is an all-time classic. I'll be around. Woo! By the Spinners.
Killer.
Yeah,
Killer,
real
killer tune.
instruments, and then it's just like,
Yeah.
I love that Motown era. My dad, he was really into Motown.
Oh,
He was
awesome.
a Motown savant. Like
Yeah.
he was anything that was Temptations, anything that was the Spinners, anything that
OJ's.
was the
My dad got
Marvell.
me into the
Oh,
OJ's when I was
yeah.
younger.
Oh,
Yeah.
OJ's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Four Tops.
Hmm.
Yeah. He was into like Dynamic Superiors, like really like underground. Like, oh, I'm gonna say underground, but it's like stuff that's not exactly Motown, but
Yeah.
it's like that soul sound that's hard to replicate. Like, and that's what I love about Motown too, because they got this incredible sound, but then when you really look at the whole picture, there's not a whole lot of musicians that like the Funk Brothers. People overlook the Funk Brothers.
Right.
Yeah, but it's the way that it's composed. It's just incredible.
Right.
Like you listen to "Just My Imagination" by Temptations,
Hmm.
and then there's like the "Running Away with Me," the little nuances of the strings that's in the background.
Yeah.
You overlook it, but it's just like, how did they compose something like that? It's incredible.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
great. Yeah, just like how the song's constructed, the writing is so fucking like just genius.
yeah,
Yeah, and I haven't had the chance to finish that doc. There was a doc talking about Motown and Funk Brothers and shit, and I was like, this is like really amazing,
yeah. And
amazing shit.
they had so many. I was reading somewhere that they have more hits than like the Rolling Stones, Beatles combined. Like because they did everyone and they
I
did
believe it.
everything, and then they just didn't get that kind of credit they deserve. And you don't think about it, but in a way, it's just like overlooking a producer in hip hop because
Right.
they need that canvas. And even though sometimes we play like the producers, they'll play the background, and sometimes we don't really want that limelight like as most people do, but it's just like it's sort of like you're the Phantom of the Opera, you know what I mean? You're the
Yeah,
background. It's like something about playing the
absolutely.
canvas
It's
is just
crazy,
great.
bro. I was watching a little bit of a James Brown documentary on HBO, and I didn't know that he was like when he was born, he was like a stillborn for like 3 minutes before he
Oh
actually
wow.
like started breathing. And I was
Yeah,
like, just thinking about that, I'm like, he is like the most one of the most sampled like artists of all time. You know what I mean? Like it's like wow, like that's fucking crazy. Like he had a really tough childhood. You know,
yeah. And imagine a world without James Brown.
that's crazy.
Yeah, imagine like those drums. Like you need those drums. The
He had the best band. He
yeah,
arguably had the best band like
yeah,
ever
yeah,
live.
of all time,
Yeah.
of all time. Like every time when I'm playing San Andreas, and it's like, oh, people, we got to go over so to stay under. Like,
Mm,
oh my god, I
mm.
forget what. Somewhere I got my vinyl collection, but I have like this vinyl collection called Super Breaks,
Yeah.
and like there's James Brown on there. It's
Cold
like you
Sweat,
have to. Woo,
dude. That
yeah,
groove,
yeah,
woo, that
yeah,
pocket. Oh my
yeah.
god.
I have
Oh my
no
god.
something just fascinates me about drummers, man.
Mm.
Like drummers and like bass lines. Like something is
Oh
just
yeah.
about it. It's just like the bass man is like what
And
carries.
that bassist was fucking crazy.
Oh,
I feel bad.
oh,
I don't remember his name, but yeah, like hearing the bass lines for
yeah,
those Motown tracks.
yeah, yeah.
Jesus
Oh my god!
Christ.
And it's just it still baffles me that they were able to create something like that, and it's just they just have limited resources, limited tracks, but it's just the way that it's composed. Like you just cannot mess with it. It's like it's one of those things that you could just play like on a Sunday morning when you clean around the house, and it's just like a
Yes.
feel good track. It's just like how did
Yeah,
they?
bro.
Yeah,
My
but
dad's making me an egg sandwich.
yeah,
Me and my brother an egg
yeah,
sandwich. Hell
yeah,
yeah, bro.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a
All the
lot of
kids
music
now,
like
they
that.
don't know. They're like, what the fuck's that egg sandwich? I'm like, yo, egg sandwich, that was where it was at back in the day.
Yeah, it always reminds me of Baby Boy, where it's like this is grown folks music, you know, you play it up. Yeah, that's like when you go for a cruise around the neighborhood
Yep,
and you go get like an Arizona iced tea from down the street or something.
yep.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's all coming back. Yeah, I
Oh
forgot all
man.
about
Well,
that.
we're almost at an hour. Any lasting things, or did you, I don't know how long, I don't know how long you want to keep going for the first pilot for the pilot.
I guess we'll go ahead and just end it here. I don't want to make it too long for the listeners at home.
Right on,
I
right
don't want to keep you guys here too long. But yeah, we'll
on.
go ahead and wrap it up. And I want to thank my guest, Jay Powell.
Yo,
One, the
thanks
only
for
Dick
having me
out.
on, man. This was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, this is great, man. And then we covered a lot in an hour. I feel like.
Definitely,
All
definitely.
right, all right, guys. I'll see you later.
Peace.